So there's another 650, there's another 650, and there's another 650. Joe, there's a pattern emerging here of Origin Labo, 650 horsepower.
75 miles.
It's sort of becoming like a McLaren, like just that's the standard model that comes out of QuinnMSport.
Just roll them out the door in the production line.
What is going on, guys? We are back from the Middle East and back in Ireland, and we've just decided to come and visit one of the busiest workshops in Ireland right now. That is QuinnMSport here, and they are building probably some of the most insane drift cars I've ever seen produced in Ireland, all immaculate. And before we get to the first round of the Drift Games Nationals and the Drift Games Extreme brought to you by Link ECU, I had to come here and check this out for myself. We're going to take a step inside. We've got some stars from the drift world here as well, who are just putting some final preparations to their cars, and you guys will get to see them before we see the final finished product at the events later this year. So let's check it out, let's talk to the guys, and let's check out some of these amazing machines. Before we even head inside, I just want to check out this incredible 180 SX outside, a drift car for one of the amateur competitions in the Drift Games Championship, and Joe Doyle's car, which is currently, and probably by the time this video goes out, has been won by somebody else, but he's taken a year out of competition, mostly because of how busy he is fixing everything else in here. And then you can have Robin Neeson's JZX from last year, and there's a reason this car sits without an engine, because it has been transplanted into his brand new car for the Link ECU Drift Games Extreme this year. But what we've come to look at is the car everybody's been waiting for, which is Duane McKeever's brand new refreshed 180 SX. Duane, we got to get a little tour around the car. Or maybe we should get Joe Doyle to give us a tour around the car, because I'm not sure who knows more about this at this point. Joe, what's going on?
What's happening?
So you're the busiest man in drifting right now, trying to finish about 15 cars at the one time. So you took Duane's car.
Yeah, finally I got my hands on Duane's car.
Yeah, so you've been giving out about Duane's car for a couple of years, saying it needs a Joe Doyle touch.
Yeah.
And right now it looks a little bit shinier and snazzier than it's ever looked, Duane. And this is for, obviously, Drift Masters this year, your first step into Europe.
It's nice feeling like this, because I'm sure but this time next year it's not going to look like this. It's going to be down here,
right.
And Joe's going to be trying to patch it and fix it up again for the following year. But
so talk us through what's changing with the car this year as opposed to last year. So it's the same chassis, am I right?
yeah, exact same chassis. New wheels sponsored me by CM Wheels. Run the new JR3 wheels, and also run the Triumph rubbers all round this year as well.
So JRs and Tri-Ace, sort of the similar sort of to what you had, but just a kind of a nicer version of wheel.
Fresher and cleaner. Running the 75mm Origin Labo kit.
And I think that's gonna be the theme of this video, I think, in here is this Origin Labo.
Everything's Origin at the minute.
But it does look really, really good. And
then the big Comfy Lab spoiler, which is
ridiculous.
Definitely a nice addition. Like.
That thing looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
And everything here at the back, very, very clean. Like you've gone with a new fuel cell, I can see there.
Running the Iridium fuel cell as well. Very, very happy running one of these. I know Kevin's been running one for a long time, and just I know how reliable and look how clean and neat everything is. So
very easy to get to too. So you are going to run a rear window on the car?
Yeah, I'm going to run like a half rear window, just sort of keep the door away from everything, but I'll also like leave a bit of it open to let warm air out and keep everything cool in there.
Ah, very cool. So it does look pretty snazzy and clean in there. And is it refabricated at the front and the back?
Yes, Joe done fabrication on the rear, because I used to have full rear arches, so Joe cut away basically how much is allowed to be cut away and retubed all the corners. So I'm bracketed, and we also fitted a new rear panel because last year I got a good beating. So
yeah, well, you know what, it did its job last year. And obviously everything inside now is sparkly and white and very, very clean. It's almost a shame to even sit in the car. Well, that's the problem with drift cars, right, Duane? At the start of the year, you're so particular about everything, and then you do 3 laps of a track, and then all this goes out the window.
I'm putting on the tyres under the rims now, and like trying not to mark the rims and stuff like. But like,
and you know the tyre changers at events are going to think the exact same thing.
My dad, he was trying to say to me like, put wee covers on the wheel so we don't mark them. Like, we're going to go to the tyre man at the first round, and he's going to jam a bar and mark paint. So like, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's not going to stay pretty for long. Yeah. So at the front.
I still run the rad in the front. Most people run in the rear. But
yeah, that's strange. Well, why do you still run the rad? Is that just by choice, or is it just?
Years ago, whenever I was having blocks were cracking with me, either there was 2 problems with the car. There was a bad cast system that Derby runs, it was faulty, and we used to run the rear rod. And we actually thought the engine would run maybe too cool with the rod in the rear, so we put it back to the front and changed the trigger system on the car. So whenever we did put the rod back in the front, we hadn't really any cooling issues. So
yeah, because obviously you run the RB20 when you're running a different engine this year. It's RB something.
It's like a 27.5.
RB27.5.
Yeah.
Do I really have to say that on commentary all year?
Just say whatever you're happy with.
So you were having mechanical trouble with that, and you're reckoning it was maybe the distance from the rad to the engine. Could it be?
I could have left the line on 80 degrees, and at the end of the run it could have been a 60. So like most cars would go up, my car was cooling too much nearly. So it's like the best term would have been like thermal shock, where the engine was heating up and then we get a blast of cold air, and then was cracking the cylinder walls and the engine.
So it's not. It's by design that the rad is still on the front of the car, and I can see the heat reflective tape from Funk Motorsport.
Funk Motorsport. Yeah.
It's really good. It's really good stuff.
Funk Motorsport's on board again with me this year, and I'm very, very happy to run their products. So.
And it again keeps the temperatures down in the right areas.
Keeps everything down, and sort of pipes that are running close to stuff, I can run their blankets around it, keep all the pipes safe, and make sure everything's gonna last.
Cool. And this is the new version 2 Wisefab. Now, obviously the Wisefab doesn't include all of that, but sort of painted to match. Yeah,
that's my new subframe that Joe cleaned up and painted all to match the new Wisefab hubs and wishbones. But yeah, everything's looking really cool.
It does. The car looks spectacular at the moment now, I must say. And so what's the next process? So the car will be leaving here today.
Yeah.
And you've got a couple of weeks until the competitive season starts. So to me it looks like there's quite a bit still to do.
It actually looks that way, but because everything's been fitted to the car before, it's just the engine's going to bolt in, gearbox is going to bolt in, wire loom's going to go through the car, everything. Like, if plenty of us, me and all my crew, were in the shade for maybe a good few weeks, like you was probably for 2 weeks would do this car. Like.
Wow, okay. So you're building this thing, I suppose no corners cut this year because it's Drift Masters and it's probably your biggest challenge yet. Yeah. So you're coming off the back of the Irish Championship and the UK Championship. This is a new championship this year, so I suppose you need the right horse for the race.
Yeah, well definitely at the minute, like this is definitely the most prepared car I've ever had at the minute. Like the finish in this car is unbelievable. Like nobody's going to be able to fault this car. So this is
the one that you hope to win the European Championship.
It's going to be a head turner.
It's the head turner. All right, well we're going to leave you to get it loaded up and get out of here. Joe, we're going to have to get talking through some cars here because there's a lot to look at in a very, very short amount of time. Let's start with this one. Now this to me, because it still says it on the door and I'm not that clever, is Kevin Quinn's 180SX from last year.
Yeah.
And it now runs a very different engine and has a different owner.
Well, same makeup engine but 3.4 2J. It's like FD spec 2J.
So this is, I'm just going to explain. This is Robin Neeson's car. He's competing in the Link ECU Drift Games Extreme this year.
Robin's old car, the JZX100.
Yep. So we looked at that on the way in, and this is the engine from the JZX transplanted into Kevin Quinn's car from last year.
Yeah.
So sort of the chassis work had already, or the development had been done on the chassis already.
The car was already good, so we knew the car was good, and Robin got a run on it and was like, that's what I need. So that has everything else. There's the winters and the iridium and.
This is just the sparkliest engine bay ever. I'm not, as you know, Joe, an expert on mechanical parts and engines, but I genuinely think sometimes the shinier it is, sometimes the more expensive it is because it has the most amount of uprated parts on it.
Of course, you get more points for being bling. Like.
This thing looks like a beast of an engine. Do you know much about the engine on this car?
Take Motorsports, big valve head, Brian Crower 3.4 stroker, 6-push manifold, precision turbo. It's good, everything you're wanting.
This is everything you'd ever want in a drift car. So Robin did the hard work on the engine.
Yeah.
You guys did the hard work on the chassis, and now you put both together, and away we go. The reason that Kevin's car is now having a new owner and a new engine is because he's building a brand new car.
Yeah.
And this is where we are. How many weeks from the start of the season?
3.5.
3.5 weeks from the start of the season.
Yeah, it's not a really good place to be at the minute now, but
Joe, is this?
I mean,
look, people will watch this and go, "How long does it take to build a car?" But I suppose it's how long is a piece of string when it comes to the builds. But is this a plan of it'll come together very quickly from this point on?
Yeah, because we'll have the engine, we'll have the gearbox. This is the subframe.
Yeah, I was just about to say there.
Yeah,
you have
everything's here for it. It's just trying to make a hole for everything.
A lot of the fabrication work is now completed.
Yeah, well, just a wee bit of the front fabrication. The rear is all done. That's been.
And the gearbox tunnel is still to be kind of finished off. Cage is done, and the back end I think is it's probably the most amount of
back end like
mostly complete.
90%, I'd say.
We'll try and get in there and have a look. So yeah, probably still has to go off, get paint, that kind of thing.
Well, the handy thing about it is we have our own spray booth and all, so.
And
the only thing the car has to leave here for at any stage will be to get tuned. Everything's done, built, wiring, everything else done here.
I suppose that speeds up the process quite a bit.
Of course,
because at least you know it's your time and effort now that you don't have to wait on other people. Could I make a wild guess at what body kit's going to go on it? I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess a kooky, just lip kit on a standard plastic bumpered kit. That's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I guess.
Or maybe an Origin 75
maybe
mil.
Another Origin 75
By the time this video goes out, this car will be much further along, and it'll have a lot, and we'll be looking forward to coming back down and shooting it when it's pretty much ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
But goes to show that you sort of have Duane's now heading off for, you know, sort of completed its work here.
Yeah.
Robbins is probably pretty much there, and then this is the furthest away.
Yeah.
And this is one that is sort of complete because I've seen this car compete for the last 2 years, and this is Johno Hare's S15. So you took Johno's last year up here to QuinnMSport and sort of gave it a once over. This is a car that works really well.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say it's one of the best looking cars in drifting in Ireland or the UK as well. Like, very loud, very green.
Very good.
So he's opted for an RB25, as you said, with an RB26 head.
Yes.
Running about 600.
Yeah, 650 horse.
You know, if you look at drifting now, 2JZs in S bodies are kind of the way to go, but then you have an RB25 in this one, and Duane's is going to run an RB27.5 or something he's made up. There is still a lot of, and you had an RB in your car as well.
Just personal preference.
You think so?
Yeah.
You don't think there's much difference or an advantage in either or?
I think it's just down to where you came from before, whether you were an RB person or a 2J or...
Yeah. Or, sorry, if you were an SR and had to go 2J kind of thing.
Well, that's a bad situation if you're SR. Like.
Yeah. The one thing about this car is that it has sort of the hard work behind it. So what's it doing back up here?
Just usual start of season maintenance, gear oil fluids, check everything, alignment, just checking the car is ready to go for the season ahead in the truck games, extreme.
And this is a big step up from this year, moving to the pro class. So
his first year in the pro class, so.
And he had a very strong year in the Pro-Am last year, so I think he's going to probably fit in very, very well. He's definitely got the car for it.
The car just needs to settle himself.
Yeah, just needs to calm down a little bit and he'll be fine. So from a guy that's starting off his pro career to a man that sort of defined the pro career is the last car in the garage, which is owned by the legend Paul Conlon. Now, initially when I walked in, I wouldn't be able to tell this was Paul Conlon's car. It looks unbelievable in red.
Yeah,
the nice thing is sometimes when you can see the car before the graphics go on, because you actually get an appreciation of, I think sometimes, in my opinion, drift cars don't get the appreciation road cars do.
I know,
because
you can't see the kit.
You can't really see everything because there's so much graphics going on and there's so much kind of over the top everything else going on and smoke and everything. But when you see them like this, if this was someone's road car in Ireland, it would be one of the nicest road cars in the country. The same with even Johno's, or if you imagine Duane's car pulling up, you know, in the middle of town, these would be like the nicest looking cars around. But because they're drift cars, people sort of see them a different way.
Yeah, you just see the stickers.
But you forget that. Yeah, because when they turn up to the first round, you see it completed. But when you see them like this, you get a little bit more. I think you get a bit more appreciation because they are a beautiful, painted, spotless, polished car before all the madness ensues for the year.
I think the days of just landing with a car painted with an aerosol tint is long gone.
Well, that's your fault, Joe, because you've started producing cars like this. Now everybody wants shiny, nice cars.
That was the plan. Like, we never wanted to start completely changing the sport. We just make it nicer.
Yeah, and I think it definitely is visually nicer to look at a car like this in photos or videos or anything. So Paul's car, it worked pretty good last year. I mean, he's had some mechanical issues in the past.
That's why you should have left the car off. He had a few mechanical issues and he just wanted to get rid of all that. Yeah. So we changed the look of the car, and it's actually got a new extreme clutch, new G-force dog box as well. Okay, so he's upgraded sort of the drivetrain, the look of the car, again, the maintenance, the alignment, all that kind of stuff. The usual start of season maintenance.
Paul, he sort of complained last year a little bit of just the car let him down at the wrong time. He wasn't feeling 100% a lot of the time, and now Well, I suppose
hopefully
that's a thing of the past. It's hard enough at you've competed in the pro level, and you know the last thing you want to be worrying about is the reliability of your car, because it's so hard as it is.
Whenever you pull up the lane, the last thing you want to be worrying about is something going to fall off or something going to break. So you just try to rid all that at the start of the season. Yeah,
and I think, you know, over the 15 years or 16 years of Irish drifting, we've come a long way in terms of car preparation.
Definitely.
This car runs a 2JZ.
Yeah.
And big power 2JZ in this one.
Yeah, it's 650 horses.
It's a 650 horses, similar to Johno Hare's car. And can we get a look under the bonnet? Because I know somebody watching this video is going to be like, just looked at a car for 10 minutes and didn't even... There is Paul Conlon setup, 2JZ. There is a lot of horsepower in this shed right now, which probably more than any shed, I would imagine, in the country. Duane, what's the estimated figure?
I would be happy if I had 850.
850? What do you reckon, Robin Neeson's car?
It's good for 900 anyway.
So good for 900 horsepower. He's just decided to join us now, Kevin Quinn.
Thanks.
So the new baby, what do you think power-wise? But you're going to Europe this year, you're going to Drift Masters. That's why this car is being built, because it's not it's another level there.
Yeah, I had a good enough car, which is now Robin's car, but Joe had a clever idea one day. We had a couple of things to change in my own car, and Joe says, "So you might as well sell your car and build a new one. It shall be similar to the last car, mate."
So, you know, 600, 650 horsepower as well.
I would say around the 650, 700 if we can get it.
So there's another 650, there's another 650, and there's another 650. Joe, there's a pattern emerging here of Origin Labo, 650 horsepower.
75 miles.
It's sort of becoming like a McLaren, like just that's the standard model that comes out of QuinnMSport.
Just roll them out the door in the production line.
I know it's far from that, but thank you for taking the time today to show us through the cars. I'm sure anyone watching this at home is having a quick look around here and going, it's pretty much going to be impossible to not go to drift events this year with all of this machinery all going out to war. There you have it, guys, a tour of QuinnMSport before the season starts for 2019. Some of the most insane machinery we've ever seen in Ireland is about to roll out of these doors in the next couple of weeks, so make sure you're at the events to see them make smoke for the first time. If you want to see more garage tours, if you want us to check in with more drivers, let us know in the comments, and of course hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to keep up to date with the full build-up for the Link ECU Drift Games Extreme and Link ECU Drift Games Nationals this year. We're counting down, just moments away from the championship, and I am one excited guy to see these cars make some noise. Oh, so we actually have
the Wall of Shame.
The Wall of Shame. This seems to be all of your stuff though, Kevin. So where's who else is on the Wall of Shame? Is it just you? And a bit of Duane. There's a small bit of Duane over here.
Joe.
Oh, and there's Joe.